Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's 2 o'clock and it's Tuesday, which means it's time for Tax Talk Tuesdays. I do this every Tuesday at 2 o'clock. I try to bring you some area of the tax law that I think would be very beneficial for you. You know, so before I get started, today I'm going to talk about this announcement that IRS made last week about how they are going to now start to work with the State Department to deny passports to people that owe taxes. So before I, get into that, I do want to share a little bit about who I am. My name is Beverly Winstead, and I am a tax resolutions attorney. What does that mean? That means that I help taxpayers who have disputes against the IRS, whether you are in tax court, whether you are going through an audit, whether you are have unfiled returns. I work with taxpayers just to try to help them get their tax accounts and get them back in good standing. So, I was thinking about doing this topic later in the year, but because IRS now just actually made this announcement, I felt like, now is the perfect time. And, sometimes around this time, you are beginning to think about what your travel plans will be for the year. It's funny because Christmas, I actually did my DNA ancestry test. And one of the things I said I was going to do this year is once I got my results back is actually visit wherever my results come back that I'm from. So I'm actually excited. I should be getting those results within the next couple of weeks. And once I get those results, I'm definitely going to share it with you. So, as I was thinking about this particular presentation and this talk and putting it together, I thought about, where is it that I've traveled and what is my favorite place that I like to travel? And I would have to say that it's probably, I thought about Tokyo. Tokyo was an amazing, amazing place. The food was fresh, had an awesome time in Tokyo. And then I also thought about Barcelona. Don't get me wrong, I picked up like 30 pounds in Barcelona. The food was amazing. So if you're watching, right now, if you could just drop your name in the comment section, just tell me, where is your favorite place to travel? I like to know. Because if you like me, and tell me why you like to travel at that place, because, me, in all honesty, I do like to eat. So I normally go to various places just so that I can experience the culture. So I see a couple people have joined. It's finally come up. I see Alicia Lawson. Thank you for joining. Malcolm Walker. Thank you for joining. Sean Williams, Tyreek, Colleen, a couple of my fellow people from North Carolina, North Carolinians. Thank you guys for joining. So today, again, I'm talking about IRS now has the ability, or they announced last week that, look, if you owe them, there's a chance that they will deny your passport. They will deny the renewal of your passport. And in some instances, they actually may even revoke your passport. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the law, and then I'm going to tell you maybe what your options are if you fall into that category where you owe the IRS. So one of the things I always like to ask you to do is that if you know someone where this information may benefit, if you can just hit the share button, because I do believe in, like Dr. George Fraser says, grow, teach, and repeat. So once I learn something, my job is to actually give it back to you so that you guys can also grow and won't be blindsided, in particular if you're trying to go somewhere. Okay. So, let's see. Oh, Brent, you said Southeast Washington, D.C. is one of your favorite places. Okay, I understand. I got you. By the way, if there are any entrepreneurs on this live feed, Brent Simpson is a business strategist. He is a wonderful guy to connect with. He knows a lot about taking your business from one level to the next level. So, Brent, when you get a chance, drop your information in the comment section so people can connect with you. If there are any other entrepreneurs, I see Kevin Coach Williams is on this live, and I know he's big with helping businesses get credit. So I'm so glad that, and I see Myra Key, she's so passionate about financial information. So, this definitely probably impacts a lot of people when you talk about traveling. So let's just talk about where this law came about. This law actually was passed in December of 2015. December 2015, there was a provision in it's called the FAST Act. And, that's the acronym, but Fixing America's Surface Transportation. And under this act, it authorized the IRS the ability to now contact the State Department and to let the State Department know who is a seriously delinquent taxpayer. Okay, so I know what you're asking, like, what is a seriously delinquent taxpayer? So according to this law, a seriously delinquent taxpayer is a taxpayer who owes the IRS $50,000 or more and who has not worked out an arrangement with them. Okay, so let me repeat that. A seriously delinquent taxpayer is a taxpayer who owes the IRS $50,000 or more and who is not into some type of arrangement with the IRS. Okay, so I see Edeline is joined, wonderful accountant out in Atlanta, Georgia, I believe. Make sure you drop any entrepreneurs on this feed, if you can just drop your contact information, because this is going to get viewed by a lot of people, and I want to make sure that you guys, if anybody's looking for an accountant or business strategist, your information will be in my feed. So let's just go back to the IRS. All right. So the question, now that I've told you about this law, the question is, if you find yourself in this type of situation where you could be considered a seriously delinquent taxpayer, what is it that you need to do? One of the things I always say is, and I tell people this, is that you want to be proactive. You want to be proactive with your affairs. You don't want to hide under a rock and not really think it's going to go away, because now, that it's not going to go away. Well, in some instances it may, but I'm not quite ready to share that part with you yet. So you want to become, step number one, you want to be proactive. Number two, you want to get information. All right. The way to make a better decision is through information. So how do you get information? I'm gonna give you the steps that I normally go through when a individual reaches out to me and is having some type of tax problem. So when an individual reaches out to me, I'll listen to what it is that the problems that they're saying that they're having. And because I'm trying to diagnose what essentially the problems are. Now, I've been practicing tax law for over a decade. And, a client, individual can tell me something, but I also want to make contact with the IRS because, it's best if you have both sides of the story. So when I contact IRS, what I will do immediately is I will ask for the account transcripts, right? So the account transcripts really holds the key a lot of times to how how much you owe and how the tax, liability actually came about. So it's interesting because, you want to get your account transcript. The reason why I say it's interesting is because I had a situation a couple of weeks ago where an individual reached out to me and they were saying that they owed the IRS over $50,000 and didn't know why, because the tax return showed that they had a refund. And so I contacted the IRS. I had the taxpayers tax return that showed he actually was due a refund. But when I called IRS, the account transcript showed that he owed like $53,000. So as I was reading the account transcripts and I was looking at the tax return, I was able actually to diagnose what the problem was. And within maybe an hour or two, we were able to get the situation resolved. But the only way I was able to get it resolved was not just through his story, but because I was able to contact the IRS and get the account transcript. So you definitely absolutely want to have account transcripts whenever you're trying to resolve a tax problem. So let's say you owe, again, you owe the IRS. So the next question is, what options do you have available, right? What do you have available when you are trying to comply with this law so that they won't revoke your passport? So in terms of options, I'm trying to see. Okay. Yeah. In terms of options, there are a couple of options that I normally discuss with taxpayers or a person that, owes the IRS. So number one, I consider maybe an installment agreement. An installment agreement is an agreement really with the IRS where if you don't have the ability to full pay the liability, which IRS always asks, that's the first question they always ask. Do you have the ability to pay everything right now? And normally I say, no, that's why I'm calling you, because I don't have the ability to full pay right now. So you have the installment agreement. All right. There's something called, you have the installment agreement. That's one option. The second option that we often consider as tax practitioners is something called an offering compromise. And I know you've heard the commercials where they say you can settle for pennies on the dollar, right? A lot of times people ask me, is that really true? Like, can you settle your tax liabilities for pennies on the dollar? And, we have had some success in settling for pennies on the dollar or settling with the IRS for an amount that is less than what is actually owed. So yes, offering compromises are a strong option that we consider, right? Another option that we can consider is if someone is facing an economic hardship, then we also consider what's called currently non-collectible status. The currently non-collectible, well, we shorten it normally to CNC. And, a lot of times I've had a lot of cases resolved by requesting CNC status. So that is a viable option also. And then another option we consider oftentimes is bankruptcy. Bankruptcy can be a way that you can get back into good standing with the IRS. So normally when you come to me, that is the type of analysis that we are doing, as tax practitioners, because we're listening to you. We're trying to figure out what your goals are. And from there, we're going to work out some type of, strategy. Yeah, it's all about strategy that is going to be in your best interest. The other thing I like about the account transcript, I know, we talk about being proactive, but did you know that IRS actually has 10 years to collect from the date of assessment on taxes? Let me repeat that because I want to make sure you get this. All right. IRS has 10 years to collect from the date of assessing the tax, when taxes are assessed. So the other thing that account transcripts will allow me to do is to look to see when the taxes have been assessed. Because if the tax was assessed, let's say it's now 2018, right? So let's say a tax was assessed in April of 2008. You filed your 2007 tax return. You owed a lot of money. You filed it timely because that would have meant it was due April 15th, 2008. So what I do is I will look at the account transcripts, and if there's no other act that would cause the statute to be extended, and I can go into a whole lesson on some of the things that would cause the statute to be extended. But when you come to me, I may say, well, you know what? We actually probably should just wait a couple of months, because on April 15th, 2018, IRS will no longer be allowed to collect against this large balance. So, it's just best if we actually, just don't do anything. So that's why, again, it's important to get the account transcripts. And also, you have to understand how to read the account transcripts. And that's what tax practitioners are trained in doing. So what I want to do now is take a couple of minutes and see if there's any questions. Or, if you know people that have travel plans this year. And one of the first questions I asked when you first got on was, whether or not you had any travel plans. If you want to share it in the comment section. I love to travel. Traveling is actually like my breathing space. So I was very tuned in to when it came to this law and whether or not it impacted me. Thank goodness it doesn't impact me. But if you know somebody that may be impacted by this law that loves to travel, if you can just hit the share button, just make sure we get the information. As I said before, I've been doing this for over a decade. And to me, I would be really doing injustice if I didn't share the information that, I've been spending so many years trying to gather and making sure that you're on the forefront. Yep. So I see Brent has it. We talked about an installment agreement, offering compromise, currently non-collectible status, and bankruptcy. Okay. So thank you guys for joining. I see there aren't any questions. If you want to connect with me offline, you can do so. You also can, I post a lot of information in my law office Facebook fan page. So you're more than happy to connect with me there. I also, and I do this every time, I tell you that I have my own practice located in Laurel, Maryland. You can call me at 301-306-1234. I also run the tax clinic, the low income taxpayer clinic at the University of Maryland. If you are considered low income, or if you know someone who is low income meaning if you are, let's say, a one-person household, you make $30,000 or less, two-person household, $40,000 or less, three-person household typically is about $50,000 or less, then feel free to give us a call at the tax clinic. We are accepting cases now. That number is 410-706-3295. Again, that's 410-706-3295. And again, thank you guys so much for joining in. It has been a pleasure. I want to make sure that if I'm on a plane headed somewhere, I don't know where I'm going this year, other than I know I'm going to go wherever my genealogy test comes back. I hope to see you there too. All right. Take care, guys. Thank you.